This is a presentation on the basics of Zen Buddhism. In the world of Buddhism, there are two main schools. The smaller is Hinayana, sometimes called Theravada. It's limited to Sri Lanka and parts of Southeast Asia. The larger Mahayana school is throughout most of the East. Zen is a part of this larger school of Buddhism. From the Zen perspective, early Buddhism is the seed which has grown into the full, mature plant or tree. Zen is now a common English word. The original word in Sanskrit was dhyana, in Pali, jhana, and in Chinese, in Pinyin, it's chan. Zen traces itself back to its roots in one of the first disciples of Shakyamuni the Buddha. His name was Mahakasyapa. In what is called sometimes the first sermon, Shakyamuni called his disciples together, and the Buddha just sat there, quiet in front of them. He had in his hands a lotus flower, and he just sat. He would twirl the flower, he held it in front of them. The disciples wondered perhaps he was ill or tired. But Mahakasyapa was looking at the flower and suddenly broke into a broad smile. And the Buddha recognized Mahakasyapa had understood and found enlightenment. Some say that Shakyamuni then turned to Mahakasyapa and said this: "I possess the true Dharma nirvana, the true form of the formless, which does not rest on words or letters, and this I entrust to Mahakasyapa." Later, in the 5th and 6th century, a disciple named Bodhidharma brought Buddhism to China, to the Northern Wei dynasty. From here, Zen is said to have developed and transmitted throughout the East. Zen Buddhism was developed in the form we know it today in Japan after coming from China. There are two schools of Zen, Soto and Rinzai. Soto makes use of meditation and koans, and enlightenment takes time and happens gradually, whereas Rinzai emphasizes koans more and assumes enlightenment will happen suddenly. Zen has been confused by many people to be things that it is not. Zen is not a system of philosophy. It is not a set of teachings. It is not founded on a sacred book. And it is not a typical religion. Now, though Zen uses meditation, it really isn't meditation. Zen is not logical. Zen is not dualistic. The prescription for Zen is not what most people expect it to be. But if you really want to know what Zen is, I can show you everything in one slide. Just click and watch the next slide. This is Zen. Now do you understand? Words are not the emphasis of Zen. One student who wanted to know what Zen was asked his master, "What is Zen?" And the master lifted up his finger and didn't say anything. Another disciple also asked his master, "What is Zen?" He got a slap in the face. A well-known saying or verse says this: "Empty-handed I go, and behold, the spade is in my hands. I walk on foot, and yet on the back of an ox I am riding. When I pass over the bridge, lo, the water flows not, but the bridge flows." Zen does not depend on words. It assumes we are too tied to words. For this reason, Zen poses illogical statements to help the disciple get beyond the words and the logic. One of the most common koans or example of this is the question, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Now again, the aim here is to get beyond logic and words. The Zen writer Suzuki records this account between a Zen leader and the Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu asked Fu Daishi to discourse on a Buddhist sutra. The Daishi took a chair and sat without uttering a word. The emperor said, "I asked you to give a discourse." One of the emperor's attendants said, "The Daishi has finished discoursing." So, Zen is not founded on a particular writings or sutras. You cannot open a particular book and read about Zen and discover it. You cannot practice certain rituals. Zen is not even a way to find God. Zen wants freedom, even freedom from God. Zen is not meditation. There is a form of meditation that's used. It's called Zazen. And Zen uses breathing. Zen uses chanting, but Zen is not any of these. These are the tools that are used to help the disciple find Zen. It's said that when one points to the moon, you're not supposed to look at the finger, but at the moon. Now, because Zen is not a logical set of ideas, it's also not dualistic. It's not a yes and no or yours and mine. And it seeks a higher affirmation where these typical antitheses don't exist. Okay, well, what is the goal then? We've said these are not what they are. What is the goal of Zen? Well, the word chosen here is satori. It means enlightenment. It means sudden insight or intuitive awareness. Now, this satori cannot be attained through words. It's something each person has to find for themselves as well. Doken's friend tells him, "If I eat food, it doesn't fill your stomach. You must eat it for yourself." Let me give you an example of satori. When a person tells a joke, there are people who get it, and there are people who do not get it. And you either get the joke, or you don't. If a person has to explain the joke, it's no longer humorous. In the same way, you cannot explain satori to people. Where do you park a dog? In a barking lot. Now, you either understood that joke and you snickered, or you did not understand the joke. Now, if I have to explain the joke, this is a play on words. Cars are parked in parking lots. Dogs aren't usually parked, but parking sounds a lot like barking, and barking is what dogs do. This close assimilation of sounds with ideas that do not match brings a desire to laugh. Well, now that I've explained it to you, there's definitely no one laughing. One story is told, Sehe asked Swibi, what's the fundamental principle of Buddhism? Wait until no one's around and I'll tell you, said Swibi. After a while, Sehe said, there is no one here now, please enlighten me. Swibi walked with him into the bamboo grove and said, how high these bamboo are, and how short those over there. What is the truth of Zen? It's what is. It's so simple. Joshu gave the answer, your everyday life. Perhaps you've seen the movie Kung Fu Panda. In this movie, Po comes into a temple where he finds a store of legendary weapons. He rushes from one to the next. He's very excited. He finally comes to a painting of a famous exploit by an ancient Kung Fu hero. He says, I've only seen paintings of this painting. Well, when I watched the movie, everyone laughed because it was funny. You laugh at the silliness of this idea. It demonstrates the Zen idea. There's really no such thing as a copy. Seeing a painting of the painting is no different than seeing the painting. But the Kung Fu kind of geeky Po hasn't learned this yet. To help a person find Satori, a master will try to get the disciple to see the simple and the obvious. A monk asked Shuchu, what is Buddha? Dongshan said, 3 pounds of flax. Zazen meditation and koans are the disciplines Zen uses to help a person reach Satori. A koan is an intentional cul-de-sac for the mind. By presenting these kind of puzzles in which there's no way out logically, the intention is to help a person reach Satori. Again, Kung Fu Panda. In another scene here, Ko and the evil Tai Lung are fighting for control of the Great Dragon Scroll. The scroll's been thought to be the source of great power. And when finally the scroll is cautiously and expectantly opened, inside of it all there is a mirror. And the person just sees themselves in it. That's the message, in a sense, of Zen. The same thing happens when Mr. Ping reveals the secret ingredient of the family soup. Mr. Ping says, the secret ingredient is nothing. Po says, huh? Mr. Ping says, you heard me, nothing. There is no secret ingredient. Po says, wait, it's just noodle soup? You don't add some kind of special sauce or something? Mr. Ping says, you don't have to. To make something special, you just have to believe it's special. And then Po looks at his reflection again. He sees his image, and he says to himself, there is no secret ingredient. If you understand, things are just as they are. you do not understand. Things are just as they are.